Good morning. Before we begin, let's take a moment just to greet those folks around us, those we know, those who may be new to us. Take a moment to say hello, good morning, and welcome. To be continued at coffee hour. I know we have much more to say. Darlene and I are co-coordinating today for the first time. So happy to have you. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury. First of all, please silence your phones if you've not done so already. I'm Nancy Hershatter. I am pianist, social service coordinator, and co-founder with Randy. You can't hear me well. Is that better? Okay. Can everyone hear me now? You didn't miss much. And I am also co-founder with Randy and with Keith of Music at the Ridge, our monthly music series. I've been a UU since 2009, and it's been an amazing contribution in my life. So the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Danbury has been gathering together for 200 years. And in order to build a more just world, we respectfully acknowledge that our physical building here is on the traditional land of the Paugussett people. I'm so glad you're able to join us this morning. You are an essential part of our celebration. Whether today is your first or 1000th Sunday in our midst, in person or online, hello online, we're stronger because you are with us. If you are new to our community and joining us online, we invite you to introduce yourself and where you're connecting from in the chat box as you're comfortable. At the conclusion of today's service, you'll have a chance to participate in a breakout group for individual connections and deeper check-ins. If you're here in person, please fill out a visitor card at the table near the exit before you leave today. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, and all loved. Just as you are welcome here. Now, one moment. This is what happens when you're wearing 5 hats. Today, we welcome Katie Grosh as our service presenter. Katie is an ecumenically minded, aspiring pastor committed to connecting communities of faith to environmental justice. After majoring in geology at Carleton College, she taught environmental education at Urban Ecology Center in Milwaukee and served as a chaplain at Camp Wilmot. She's a recent graduate of Yale Divinity School, MDiv 22, and currently works as a chaplain at Griffin Hospital. Welcome, Katie. Okay, it is now time for our chalice lighting affirmation. Please join Darlene and me in the words of our chalice lighting affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and justice is its light. This is our covenant to dwell together in peace, to seek and speak the truth in love, to help one another and celebrate life. Now join us in our hymn of welcome as I run back to the piano.
That would be number 121, We'll Build a Land. The words will be written on the screen and also in your hymnals.
I think Darlene said this. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able. Here's our note, ready and sing. We'll build a land where we wind up the path. We'll build a land where the captives go free, where the oil of gladness is also pouring. Oh, we'll build a And now a story from Katie.
All right, good morning, friends. Let's say together our unison children's affirmation. Yes, we're Unitarian Universalists. We are people with open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We care for the earth and each other. That was so beautiful. Well, good morning, friends. My name is Katie. I'm a white woman in my late 20s. I have brown curly hair, glasses, an N95 mask, wearing a black jumpsuit and a red sweater, and it is so wonderful to be with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. So we have a recording today of me reading this story called The Artivist. The pictures will be up on the screen, and I also put the physical copy of the book in the back if anyone wants to see the pictures up close or look at it again. So we will watch the story now. This is The Artivist by Nicholas Smith. You can see this is an autographed copy. It says, "Love today." I love to paint. It relaxes me. They say I'm an artist. I love to help my community, to seed goodness in the world. They say I'm an activist. But sometimes the world that I see is not the world that I wish to see, and the problems seem larger than life. I want to scream. I want to help. I want to act. I want to hold up a mirror to the world and show everyone what isn't working right. This needs to be fixed. And this needs to be fixed too. Above the surface, this seems right. But that's when I realize that fixing things requires us all to look deeper. All I can think to do is paint the problems and the solutions people can work on together. I think it's time to combine both parts of who I am, to take action with my art. It's time to become an artivist. I will sketch and draw and scribble and paint the broken bones I see and the healing I hope for. Until, hopefully, I open a few eyes to the things that aren't working right, or many, many eyes. Artivism has the power to spark compassion and empathy of the whole world, and the artivist can light that flame. It says, I will love today. Love is a verb. The artivist can inspire others to give back by painting what every person deserves. The artivist must be brave enough to speak up even when it is scary, and humble enough to listen before speaking. The artivist is an ally. The artivist is a protector of the planet and the planet's children. The artivist is a memory keeper painting justice for all, especially all those who no longer have a voice. The artivist doesn't only paint. She sings, he writes, they film.
We repurpose, we build. We bring awareness to what can be changed for the better so that everyone can take action. The artivist is a visionary who pieces the world back together until the world is whole again. The artivist is you. What change will you create?
So I would love to encourage people of all ages today to think about what are some things that you love to do. What are some things that you love to do and how you can do those things for people that you love. And today, some of our youth are going to be participating in some artistic expressions of their own. I heard that the young people are going to be making some arts and preparing projects for Heifer International, which is a really awesome organization that helps people who are hungry across the world to have enough food. So it's really wonderful that we can use our gifts and our talents for good and combine the things that we love for the people we love. So with that in mind, we'll sing together our song, This Little Light of Mine.
It is now time for our shared milestones. We'll begin with silent milestones. If you have a joy or concern that you would like to share silently by placing a stone in the bowl, we'll spend a few minutes. Please come forward and do so. Okay. All right, so I will go back to the piano for the Hymn of Reflection 1009, which is in your teal hymnal, When I Breathe In. And I don't know, are we up for trying this in 2 parts? I know it's early in the morning. Okay. So the first part, I'll just sing it to you. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. And I'll ask you to join me in a moment. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Okay. And anybody who wants to try the accompanying bass part and the drone, go for it. Here's our starting note. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. One more time. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. I'll have to try that in 3 parts when Jerry's here. It's beautiful. And now the reading will be done not by Nancy Hershatter, but by Darlene Alexander.
Good morning. Today's reading is Love and Justice by Reverend Tess Baumberger, and it's based on 1 Corinthians in the Bible. Love is kind with people, but impatient with injustice. Love is assertive and respectful. Love listens to the anger of those who experience oppression, without responding, without defending, without interrupting, without explaining. It listens with compassion, seeking always to understand. Love is slow to anger, especially at the start or the end of life, and with anyone the world discounts. Yet anger can be a part of love. Consider the force with which parents defend their young. Love fears for those it loves, for what it loves. When who or what it loves cannot defend itself, love rises to defend. When those it loves have the power of defense, it takes their lead with humility and courage. Love assists, empowers, and frees. Love's anger rises to meet injustice in considered ways that help correct it. Love is willing to examine itself, its thoughts, actions, and unmediated bias. It recognizes one's power to harm or to be part of systems of harm, with or without awareness. But once aware, it can only intend to make amends, to right the wrongs, to change the systems that legislate hatred. Love is willing always to change, always to learn, always to heal. Love rejoices in truth and in equity. There is no limit to love's steady presence, or its holding us gently but insistently to what is right. And so ends our reading. And one way that we are able to live our love out into the world is by supporting the programs, facilities, and staff of this congregation. This is the time in our service for our weekly offering. Generous donations from members and friends are what sustain this congregation and its good works. We have been gathering for over 200 years as a congregation, and we look forward to many more years to come, only made possible with your support. There are many ways to give this morning. The offering plates will pass here in the fellowship, and you are welcome to give electronically using Simple Give, the QR code on the screen, or by clicking the link in the Zoom chat. You may also mail a check to 24 Clapboard Ridge Road in Danbury. But of course, if you are visiting with us for the first time, please don't feel obligated to donate today. Your presence is your gift to us, and we look forward to getting to know you. And the offering will now be gratefully received.
I invite you all to take a deep breath in, breathe in love, and just imagine yourself exhaling peace. Let it all out. Breathe in love and exhale out peace. It is good to be together, to breathe together, to worship together this morning, to come together as a community. And this week in January begins the 30 Days of Love. This is a UU celebration that extends from the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, celebrated tomorrow, through Valentine's Day. And this season, these 30 days of love, is a time of spiritual nourishment, political grounding, and a shared practice of faith and justice, all rooted in love. Liberating love, you might say, which is also the theme for this month of January. So my name is Katie again, and I grew up in Ann Arbor, made it out here for div school, but my roots are in Michigan. And I went to, growing up, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School in Ann Arbor. And at the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School, MLK Day was bigger than Labor Day, President's Day, and Memorial Day combined. MLK Day was bigger than Thanksgiving or Christmas. We took the whole week of MLK Day to celebrate our hero. It was the best holiday because we sang songs, performed skits, we created art, we had whole school-wide assemblies. We learned about the history of segregation, of nonviolent resistance, the March on Washington, and Dr. King's dream of integrated education, like the education I was receiving. Our school's motto was keeping the dream alive every day. In case you all didn't have the privilege of attending the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School and didn't take all of that time with those assemblies, I can share a little bit about his life now. Dr. King was born in Atlanta, the son of a preacher in a segregated United States. He became a minister himself and studied the teachings of Gandhi. He coordinated the Montgomery bus boycott and attended and led numerous sit-ins and peaceful protests. He delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington and shared his visions of equality and equity and justice broadly. He galvanized legislation, including the Civil Rights Act, the 24th Amendment, and the Voting Rights Act. And in 1964, Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. That's a pretty amazing legacy in life, right? And Americans today have a very favorable view of Dr. King. In 2011, a Gallup survey reported that 94% of US Americans had a favorable view of Dr. King. But this was not the case within his lifetime. In 1966, 2 years before Dr. King's death, another Gallup survey reported only a 33% favorable rating for MLK. This means that more than two-thirds of white Americans did not like or approve of Dr. King and his message. I'm glad that we are now so much more overwhelmingly in support of this great US civil rights leader. But I fear that in MLK's movement to the mainstream acceptance, sometimes his message has been watered down and made palatable to white audiences. In my elementary school, I was taught that Dr. King's dream had been largely achieved, that the civil rights movement had won, that the laws had changed, that our hearts were changed, that things were better. And yes, there has been progress. We can celebrate that. But what I didn't learn in school was that systemic racism has embedded enduring inequalities across our nation. My elementary school may have been racially diverse, but we were socioeconomically segregated. As I have continued on in learning, books like The Color of Law and Evicted have helped me understand these ongoing injustices. After I left elementary school, I learned more about Malcolm X, the Black Panther movement, and I read Martin and Malcolm and America by the Black liberation theologian James Cone. And I realized how much MLK's message had in common with more of these Black Power movements, that MLK's message is radical. The extent of his dream is vast, and his dream is deeply, deeply loving. MLK wrote, "I have decided to stick to love. For I know that love is ultimately the only answer to mankind's problems. And I'm going to talk about it everywhere I go. I know it isn't popular to talk about it in some circles today. I'm not talking about emotional bosh when I talk about love. I'm talking about a strong, demanding love." I think that this strong, demanding love that MLK was talking about sounds a lot like that version of 1 Corinthians that we heard earlier. It is a love that angers. It is assertive. It takes action for what is right. It is a love that is both expansive and particular. Liberation theology talks about the preferential option for the poor. It cares particularly for those on the margins. Dr. King took action out of love for the Black community, the poor community, and the working class community. MLK took action out of love for those who have faced discrimination and oppression, knowing that their struggles were bound up together. Dr. King wrote, "The problem of racism, the problem of exploitation, and the problem of war are all tied together. These are the triple evils that are interrelated." End quote. Which is why, in addition to Black civil rights, MLK was also an advocate for universal basic income, fair labor rights. MLK condemned spending billions of dollars on the war in Vietnam when there was so much poverty at home. MLK questioned our capitalistic economy and sought a restructuring of the whole American society. In Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail, King wrote that injustice everywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. He writes, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." End quote. The more that I learn about these wicked, complicated problems today of racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, poverty, ableism, and environmental degradation, and we don't have to look far to find these problems, the more I realize this truth that Dr. King was talking about, that these issues of justice are all interconnected. Right? Anti-fatness, like you talked about last week, anti-fatness is rooted in anti-Blackness. War leads to environmental destruction. Education is expensive and tied up with issues of poverty. If we have a stake in one area of liberation, we have a stake in all. These issues are interconnected, and therefore we are all interconnected as well. This reminds me of a quote by Lilia Watson. She says, "If you have come here to help me, then you are wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together." So what do we do when we and those that we love are hurting and facing these ongoing injustices? I believe that love must be the active commitment to the well-being and flourishing of the other. So we must take action with power. Dr. King wrote that power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice, and justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. Dr. King found power through nonviolent resistance. This included boycotting, marching, protesting, and even preaching. He used his own gifts and then organized with others to create that collective action, multiplying their power together. Because everyone, each and every one of you in this room, is powerful in your own way through words and actions. Whether it's sharing on social media, speaking truth to family members, voting, giving time, attention, or resources to a cause. There are so many opportunities to take action and use our power every day. It's also important to remember that we are stronger together when we join together for justice. That includes participating in communities of faith just like this one. I know that alone my coffee habits won't change the world. But Starbucks recently lost $11 billion from a boycott. That's billion with a B. And that's something that you all can participate in as well. So we must unite our love and our power. They cannot be separated. Dr. King wrote that power without love is reckless and abusive. And love without power is sentimental and anemic. For our love to mean something, we must take action. To wield our power properly, whatever our sphere of influence may be, we must be deeply rooted in love. So I invite you to consider now, who is it that you love? Who is it that you love? Maybe it's a person, a friend, a child, yourself. Maybe it's a community, the queer community, the Black community. Maybe it's a place, a tree, a river, nurturing soil, a homeland. Who are those who cry out to you for justice? Who do you weep with? Who do you love? And then consider, where does your power come from? What do you love to do? What can you do? And then how can you use your power for love? Just like the artivist, that story we heard earlier, we can act in so many different ways to promote peace and justice and speak truth to power. We can chant and cheer and educate, encourage, listen, learn, organize, and volunteer to use our gifts for good. I can give a personal example rooted in my own life, rooted in my own love. So my partner, not here today, preaching at a different congregation. My partner is a disabled and queer person, and I love them. Their name is Ben. And Ben got very, very sick with COVID the first time that he had it. So together, Ben and I are very COVID conscious. I also love my family, which includes people who are immunocompromised and older. Ben and I both lost grandparents in COVID. And my love ripples out as well to groups who are disproportionately at high risk, which includes the Black community, the poor community, disabled communities. These communities oftentimes overlap. There have been measurable, disproportionate impacts to these communities that are the most vulnerable. And my power comes in my ability to make choices. I can choose to wear a high-quality, well-fitting mask. I can choose to stay home when I'm sick. I can choose to get my yearly updated vaccine. I can choose to take a test before seeing my more high-risk friends. And so I use my power for love every single time I get that shot, which, like the flu shot, it's going to be every year from here on out. I use my power for love every time that I wear a mask to the grocery store or the hospital where I work, or when I take public transportation. I use my power for love when I encourage people around me to do the same. And I do so not out of judgment or fear, but out of compassion, because I want health and safety for those who I love. And so my power, my actions, my choices can contribute to that outcome. The cost of this love is misunderstanding, loneliness. As the Beatles say, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter, but I think it's worth it. I have decided to stick to love, no matter the cost. And these costs of love can vary when we take a stand, when we choose to act in these ways. The cost of love can be time or money or inconvenience. Love may not be popular. Love may lead to sacrifice sometimes. Even as a follower of nonviolence, Dr. King and his family, those he loved, faced police brutality, death threats, and bombings. Love cost Dr. King his life. Martin was murdered on his balcony while organizing for sanitation workers' rights, economic justice, and fair labor practices. MLK was young. He was 39 years old. But even in those short years of his life, Dr. King set a radical example for what love and power united for justice can accomplish. Dr. King's legacy is prophetic, and it is carried on today in the work of activists like Reverend William Barber through the Poor People's Campaign. They continue peacefully marching towards policies that protect the most marginalized, including health care, fair wages, housing, voting rights, and immigration reform. We keep the dream alive every day. Our dreams for liberation are entangled. So today, friends, as I would say in my Christian tradition, go and be the good news. Use your power for love. We can't do everything, but everyone can do something. And together, may we use our power to bend that proverbial moral arc of the universe towards justice in our time. Amen. Many of the quotes that I shared today from Dr. King came from his address to the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1967. And he ended that speech by saying, and I quote, "I must confess, my friends, the road ahead will not always be smooth. There will still be rocky places of frustration and meandering points of bewilderment. There will be inevitable setbacks here and there. There will be moments when the buoyancy of hope will be transformed into the fatigue of despair. Our dreams will sometimes be shattered and our ethereal hopes blasted. Difficult and painful as it is, we must walk on in the days ahead with an audacious faith in the future. And as we continue our chartered course, may we gain consolation in the words so nobly left by James Weldon Johnson. These are words that we will now sing together in the closing hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing. It will be shown on the video. Feel free to join in.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky should resound out at the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. March on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn has died. Yet with a steady beat and not our weary feet come to the place from which our fathers died. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughter, out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk of the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand. True to our God, true to our God, true to our God, true to our native land, true to our native land.
Dr. King said of that song, "Let this affirmation be our ringing cry. It will give us the courage to face the uncertainties of the future. It will give our tired feet new strength as we continue our forward stride toward the city of freedom." Friends, may you go today in peace to unite your power with love and to work towards justice in all that you do. We say together the words of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again.